Ignited Minds. Chapter 3, Visionary Teachers and Scientists. Whatever you can do or dream, you can begin it. Boldness has genius power and magic in it. Begin it now. The great minds of the country had the ability to make others join their endeavor to convert dreams into reality. For them, the nation was bigger than themselves, and they could draw thousands to act upon their dreams. In December 2000, I had participated in the birth centenary celebration of Adhyapak Ratna T. Todari Iyengar. I graduated in science from St. Joseph College, Tiruchirappalli, 1954. As a young student, I saw Professor T.T. Iyengar, a unique, divine looking personality, walking through the college campus every morning and teaching mathematics to the students of BSc Honours and MSc. The students looked at him with awe as one would at a guru, which indeed he was. When he walked, knowledge radiated all around. At that time, Calculus Srinivasan was my mathematics teacher. He used to talk about Professor T. Iyengar with deep respect and would organize integrated classes for first year BSc Honours and first year BSc Physics to be taught by him. I also had the opportunity to attend some of these classes, particularly on the subjects of modern algebra and statistics. When we were in first year BSc, Calculus Srinivasan used to pick the top 10 students as member of the mathematics club of St. Joseph's, where Professor T. Iyengar used to give a lecture series. One day in 1952, he gave a lecture on ancient mathematicians and astronomers of India. He spoke for nearly 1 hour. The lecture still rings in my ears. Let me share with you my thoughts about some ancient mathematicians, glimpses of whom I saw in Professor T. Iyengar in my own way. Aryabhatta, born in AD 476 in Kushumapura, now called Patna, was an astronomer and mathematician. He was reputed to be a repository of all the mathematical knowledge known at that point of time. He was only 23 years old when he wrote Aryabhattiyam in two parts. The text covers arithmetics, algebra, and trigonometry, and of course, astronomy. He was formulated for the ears of triangle and a circle and attempted to give the volumes of a sphere and pyramid. He was the first to give an approximation to pi as the ratio of circle's circumference and diameter, arriving at the value of 3.1416. To celebrate this great astronomer, India named its first satellite launched in 1975 Aryabhat. Brahmagupta was born in AD 598 at Bilamala in Rajasthan in the empire of Harsh. He wrote the Brahma Shupta Siddhant at the age of 30. He updated work of astronomy. He covered progressions and geometry. He also studied and gave what is known as the solution of intermediate equations of different degree as well as solution to quadratic equation. Bhaskaracharya was another unique intellectual of his time. He was born in AD 1114 at Vijalwada, located at what is now the border of Karnataka and Maharashtra. He wrote the famous Siddhant Shiromani in 4 chapters. He deals with astronomy and algebra and is known to be the first recognized mathematician who evolved value to zero from the concept based on Aryabhatta's discovery. To honor him, ISRO's second series of satellite was named Bhaskara 1 and 2, 1979 and 1981. The work of these three mathematicians of India provide the context of Albert Einstein's remark that we owe a lot to the Indians who taught us how to count, without which no worthwhile scientific discovery could have been made. Then comes to my mind the greatest of all geniuses ever known and acknowledged, and who lived within our present memory, Srinivas Ramanujan. He lived only for 30 years, 1887 to 1920, and had no practical formal education or means of living. Yet his inexhaustible spirit and love for his subject enabled him to make a vast contribution to mathematical research, and some of his contributions are still under serious study. Engaging the efforts of mathematicians to establish formal proofs, Ramanujan was a unique Indian genius who could melt the heart of a mathematician as Professor G.H. Hardy of Trinity College, Cambridge. In fact, it is not an exaggeration to say that it was Hardy who discovered Ramanujan for the world. Why do not our reputed scientists locate another Ramanujan in our schools? Oh my friend, why don't you in every field integrate and how instead of differentiating? Every integer is a personal friend of Ramanujan. One of the tribute to Ramanujan said, and it was no exaggeration. Professor Hardy, while rating geniuses on a scale of 100, put most of them in the range of around 30, giving a rating of 60 to the rare exceptions. However, for Ramanujan, he suggested only the value of 100 would fit. There can be no better tribute to either Ramanujan or to the Indian heritage. Ramanujan's work covers vast areas including prime numbers, hypergeometric series, modular functions, elliptic functions, mock theta functions, even magic squares. Apart from some serious work on the geometry of ellipses, a square, the circle, and so on. I hope that eminent teachers who teach and inspire the young students of mathematics will continue their unmatched and noble services in the year to come, thus ensuring the march of Indian brilliance in this field. Professor S. Chandrasekhar, the astrophysicist, continued the Indian mathematics tradition in his work abroad. Of course, mathematics is a universal. Now the tradition will further blossom with the efforts of Professor S. Seshadri, Professor G.V. Narilikar, Professor M.S. Narsimha, Professor S.R.S. Vardhan, Professor M.S. Raghunathan, Professor Narendra Karmakar, and Professor Ashok Sen, among others. Sir C.V. Raman started his career in the office of the Accountant General, Calcutta, but the scientist in him would not let him rest, and he was always probing for answers to some of the problems that interested him. Fortunately, he was supported by the great educationalist Ashutosh Mukherjee, who encouraged Sir C.V. Raman to pursue his research. It is now worthy that Raman effect, the discovery of which brought him the Nobel Prize, did not come out of a grand establishment set up at vast expense. I believe the urge to show to the world the excellence of Indian mind would have been a major motivating factor for C.V. Raman. The same is the case of Professor S. Chandrasekhar, also a Nobel laureate for his work on black holes. There are some interesting statements in his biography, Chandra by Kameshwar C. Bali, as it points out, Chandra grew up in what was a golden age for science, art, and literature in India. Spurred on partly by the struggle of independence, J.C. Bose, C.V. Raman, Meghnad Shah, Srinivas Ramanujan, and Rabindranath Tagore, by their achievement in sacrifice and creative endeavors, became national heroes along with Jawaharlal Nehru, Mahatma Gandhi, and a host of others. Possibly, their great success helped produce an atmosphere of creativity. Howsoever it may be, it is worth noting, as Chandrasekhar observed, that in the modern era, before 1910, there were no scientists of international reputation or standing. Between 1920 and 1925, he had suddenly 5 or 6 internationally well known men. I myself have associated this remarkable phenomena with the need for self expression, which became a dominant motive among the young during the national movement. It was a part of the national movement to assert oneself. India was a subject country, but particularly in science, we could show the best in their own realm that we are equal to them. Here I would like to quote Sir C.V. Raman, who said in 1969, While addressing young graduates, I would like to tell you, the young men and women before me, not to lose hope and courage. Success can only come to you by courageous devotion to the task lying in front of you. I can assert without fear of contradiction that the quality of the Indian mind is equal to the quality of any Teutonic, Nordic, or Anglo Saxon mind. What we lack in perhaps courage, what we lack in perhaps driving forces, which takes one anywhere. We have, I think, developed an inferiority complex. I think what is needed in India today is the destruction of what defeatist spirit. We need a spirit of victory, a spirit that will carry us to our rightful place under a sun, a spirit which can recognize that we, as inheritors, as proud civilizations, are entitled to our rightful place on this planet. If that indomitable spirit were to arise, nothing can hold us from achieving our rightful destiny. Further afield, there was similar the emergence of others who were great in their respective field. Interestingly, a music trinity of great saints, Thiagraj, Swamigal, Murthy Swami, Dikshidhar, and Shyama Sastrigal also emerged at the same time of South India within 50-kilometer radius. What we should note is that the movement for independence generated the best leaders in art, science, technology, economics, history, and literature who stand with the best in the world. In more recent times, too, we have seen the emergence of great visionary scientists. Particularly, I was interested in the lives of three scientists, Dr. D.S. Kothari, Dr. Homi J. Bhabha, and Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. I wanted to learn more about their leadership qualities in the scientific and technological field, which helped link these to the development of the nation. They are the founders of three great institutions, ISRO, DRDO, and DAE. Dr. D.S. Kothari, a professor at Delhi University, was an outstanding physicist and astrophysicist. He is well known for ionization of matter by pressure in cold compact objects like planets. This theory is complementary to the epoch making theory of thermal ionization of his guru, Dr. Meghnad Shah. Dr. D.S. Kothari set a scientific tradition of Indian defense task when he was scientific advisor to Defense Minister in 1948. The first thing he did was to establish the Defense Science Center to do research in electronic materials, nuclear medicines, and ballistic science. He is considered the architect of defense science in India. We are celebrating this great mind through a research chair at the Indian Institute of Science. Dr. Bhabha did research in theoretical physics at Cambridge University from 1930 to 39. Homi Bhabha carried out research relating to cosmic radiations. In 1939, he joined Sir C.V. Raman at the IISc Bangalore. Later, he founded the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research and with focus on nuclear and mathematical science. He established the Atomic Energy Commission in 1948. His vision led to the setting up of numerous centers in the field of nuclear science and technology, such as those for producing nuclear power or for research in nuclear medicine. These science institutions generated further technological center, keeping nuclear science as the vital component. Dr. Sarabhai, the youngest of the three, had worked with Sir C.V. Raman in experimental cosmic rays. He established the Physical Research Laboratory at Ahmedabad with space research as the focus. In 1963, Thumba Equilateral Rocket Launching Station began launching sounding rockets for atmospheric research. Dr. Sarabhai established the Space Science and Technology Center and was its director. His vision led to the establishment of ISRO, with its allied centers responsible for development of launch vehicles, satellites, mission managements, and applications. These three Indian scientists, all of them physicists, started physics research institution that blossomed into defense technology, nuclear technology, and space technology, which now employ 20,000 scientists in centers spread around the country. One thing I noted was that all the three realized the importance of making political leadership understand what science could do for the country. It is essential that technologies that give immediate benefits to the people be taken up for implementation by the system regardless of which party is in power. Another important message conveyed by these scientists is that basic science is vital for growth of technology and for developing new leaders in science. Let us learn from them the proven qualities of leadership to value science and technology in an integrated way. In 1962, Dr. Sarabhai and Dr. Bhava were looking for a site to establish the Space Research Station in the equilateral region. Thumba in Kerala was found most suitable as it was near the equilateral region and was ideally suited for ionospheric research. The locality, however, was inhabited by thousands of fishermen living in the villages there. It also had a beautiful church called Saint Mary Magdalene Church and the bishop's house. As such, the acquisition of the land did not move any further. Dr. Sarabhai met Bishop, His Excellency Rev. Dr. Peter Bernard Pereira on Saturday and requested transfer of the property. The bishop smiled and asked him to meet him the next day. In the Sunday morning service, the bishop told the congregation, my children, I have a famous scientist with me who wants our church at the place I live for work of space, science, and research. Science seeks truth that enriches human life. The higher level of religion is spirituality. The spiritual preachers seek the help of the Almighty to bring peace to human minds. In short, what Vikram is doing and what I am doing are the same. Both science and spirituality seek the Almighty's blessing for human prosperity in mind and body. Children, can we give them God's abode for the scientific mission? There was silence for a while, followed by a hearty Amen for the congregation, which made the whole church reverberate. It was indeed a great experience working with Dr. Sarabhai from 1963 to 61 as a young engineer engaged in the task of composite technology, explosive systems, and rocket engineering systems at the Thiruvananthapuram Space Center. I drew tremendous energy from his leadership. Though the nation was in its technological infancy, Dr. Sarabhai was dreaming of developing own satellite launch vehicles. These would be used to launch from Indian soil remote sensing satellite in synchronous orbit and communication satellite in geosynchronous orbit. Today, his vision is almost realized with the launch of Geosynchronous Launch Vehicle (GSLV). ISRO has also operationalized the IRS and INSAT systems, thereby bringing the benefits of space to the common man. There's an experience I would like to share with you in relation to Dr. Sarabhai's vision for space programs. I wrote briefly in Wings of Fire about this episode. The design project of India's first satellite launch vehicle SLV 3 was taken up at the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center VSSC. The design of each stage of rocket, heat, shield and guidance system was given to selected project leaders. I was given the design project of the fourth stage of SLV 3, that is the upper stage rocket which would give the final velocity to put Rohini into orbit. This fourth stage uses an advanced composite material that provides high strength with minimum weight. It also has maximum loading of high energy solid propellant. While we were developing the design of this upper stage in 1970, I received a call from Dr. Sarabhai from Ahmedabad stating that he would be visiting Thiruvananthapuram along with Professor Herbert Curien, chairman of CNES, the French space agency. I was asked to give a presentation about the fourth stage to Professor Curien's team. When the presentation was over, we realized that SLV 3 fourth stage was also being considered as upper stage for the French Diamond P4 launch vehicle. The CNES needed an APJ rocket motor nearly double the propellant weight and also size of the stage that we had designed. A decision was then taken in the same meeting that the fourth stage should be reconfigured to match the suit both Diamond P4 and SLV3. I mentioned this episode because at the time this decision was taken, we ourselves were in the design stage. Such was Dr. Sarabhai's confidence in Indian scientific community. Development work on this stage started ahead of the other stages of SLV3. With other motivation thus boosted, work proceeded in full swing. A series of reviews took place between the two teams and the fourth stage guaranteed from drawing board to developing stage. Unfortunately, in 1971, Dr. Sarabhai passed away, and at the same time, the French government called off the Diamond 4 program. Once the fourth stage was developed and a series of tests was going on, a new requirement appeared on the horizon in the form of Indian building a small communication satellite to be launched by the European Ariana launch vehicle from the Apple Ariane passenger payload experiment communication satellite. The SLV-3 fourth stage proved a perfect fit and it was included in the payload of the Ariane launch in 1981 from Kourou, French Guiana. The vision seeded in 1970 by Vikram Sarabhai was indeed realized when Apple was placed in geostationary orbit and started communicating with other Earth stations. Apple's success proved that a vision with committed scientific support will achieve its aim. The achievement come as a fantastic fillip to the rocket technologies in the country. The visionary may not be with us today, but his vision gets realized. The dream of Dr. Sarabhai was shaped into reality by Professor Satish Dhawan. After he took charge of ISRO from 1972, Professor Dhawan nurtured ISRO with a space profile, and his work led to many significant accomplishments and benefits from a number of remote sensing and communication satellites. The Polar Launch Vehicle satellite accomplished the feat of launching multiple satellites for India and other countries, injecting them in different orbits in a single mission. I learned an important lesson in the management from Professor Dhawan when I was appointed project director SLV3 in 1972 to design, develop and launch the first satellite launch vehicle to inject Rohini into near Earth orbit. This was that when a project director is appointed, the whole organization, including the chairman, ISRO, work for his success. It is a lesson that has been of abiding value all through the other projects I have worked on. The other thing I have learned after more than 40 years of working in 3 departments in various projects and programs is that you will succeed as a project leader as long as you remember that the project is bigger than you. Wherever the project leader tries to make himself out to be bigger than the project, the enterprise suffers. I recall my working at ISRO headquarters, Bangalore, as Director Launch Vehicle Program System in early 1980s when we were debating the performance and cost effectiveness of launch vehicles. In 1981, the scientists of VSSC Thiruvananthapuram, with the help of other ISRO centers, evolved a configuration of the PSLV core vehicle with 2 large strap-on boosters. The PSLV weighed about 400 tons at takeoff. Professor Dhawan wanted to study an alternative and simple configuration. I had some of my colleagues, Sivathanu Pillai and Sundar Rajan and K. Padmanabham Menon, carried out mission technology and feasibility studies for optimal configuration. The team designed several options, including a unique core vehicle with an advanced solid propellant booster using first stage rocket of SLB-3 as strap-ons. This brought the PSLV weight down to only about 275 tons at takeoff. Professor Dhawan used to come almost daily to my small room, which was close to his office, and debate the possible configuration choice. He was himself a foremost aerodynamic specialist with mathematics and system engineering background, and would illustrate his ideas on the blackboard and ask us to do more homework. While talking about scientists, I recall my meeting with a medicinal specialist, Professor Kakalra Soborao, at the Indo-American Cancer Institute at Hyderabad. I asked him if cancer was some unmitigated curse. Yes and no, said the 77-year-old Albert Einstein professor of radiology. Yes, because we genetically inherit certain traits which make us vulnerable to cancer. No, because whether we get it or escape it depends largely on our immune response, largely into how the brain can influence immune response has given rise to the new field called psychoneuroimmunology. These are the diseases which normally require intensive treatment, but even here, medicine acknowledges that our mind can play a major role. Vision ignites the mind. India needs visionaries of the stature of J.R.D. Tata, Vikram Sarabhai, Satish Dhawan, and Dr. Varghese Kurian, to name a few, who can involve an entire generation in mission driven programs which benefit the country as a whole. Thank you for watching our video.